Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
I said, give me a hell yeah!
Hey, this is Zeta Zay.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Talent is not sexually transmitted.
You need to go back to the drawing board because your game absolutely sucks!
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I'm Lewis Howley. I'm Sam Scotia. We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT UK champion, and you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You are watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Romaran, and Chino Liao on another Thursday live stream. Wala na naman si Ronwa. ASH, academics have called him back into the void from which he had to crawl under. It's a huge week in wrestling coming off of Crown Jewel. Ang dami nating pag-uusapan. For those of you na kasabayan namin ni Ro pumasok sa fandom, you might also recognize this week as the week when Eddie Guerrero had his final match. And his death anniversary is also coming up this weekend. It'll be 17 years since we all lost Eddie Guerrero this weekend. So rest in peace pa rin to Latino Heat. My personal all-time favorite wrestler. I think, Ro, para sa'yo din, di ba?
Yeah. If we're talking all-time, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, for all of us who are huge fans of Eddie Guerrero, we will take a moment this week to just celebrate the life and legacy of one of the greatest to ever do it. But for the rest of us, yun, dami natin pag-usapan, just like what we teased on Twitter, from the failed cash-in of Money in the Bank to Mia Yim to Women's War Games, all of that is on the docket. But first, we gotta thank everybody na sumabay sa walang tulugan Master Showman party natin for Crown Jewel over the weekend. And that's something that all of our patrons get to enjoy when they become part of the Wrestling Podcast patron community.
Well, I don't know if that's going to continue when Disney Plus comes, but if you would like to support us and join us as well for Survivor Series happening in a couple of weekends, all you got to do is subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/wrestling podcast, for as low as $5 or almost 300 pesos. Sign up now before it gets worse. You get access to our Discord community. Admin Jackie has posted it in the chat. It's also scrolling down there. You get access to our Discord community where we talk about a whole bunch of things. We talk about wrestling. We do the live watch parties. We talk about a whole bunch of different stuff as well outside of wrestling. So a whole bunch of interests are catered to. You also get exclusive access to our review content before we talk about it here on the show. So that's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Rampage, pay-per-views, even live events here in the Philippines, care of Rowan. You also get access to our merch. We are also giving away, welcome kits to our new patrons. And malapit na ang Black Friday in a couple of weeks after Thanksgiving. So we are going to be in the process of handling pasabays from online stores as we take advantage of the Black Friday sales. A whole bunch of good stuff. I'm eyeing. I don't know if you guys are eyeing anything, pero marami akong gustong bilhin. And you can be a part of that. You can be a part of our shipment if you subscribe to our Patreon. Patreon.com.
Also the shirts, the brand new shirts from the podcast.
Yeah. So we've been getting our brand new shirts. Medyo matagal lang yung kanyang processing time. So we're kind of laying off on it as well. But our patrons did get their free Wrestling Podcast t-shirts. That's always a good time. Maraming perks and freebies and other good stuff when you subscribe to our Patreon for only $5. Thank you.
All right. Let's start with the first item on our list, and that is Saraya being cleared. And as she mentioned on Dynamite kanina,
it is official.
So may doctor's note na and everything. She also shared it on Twitter, as in with the address, with the credentials of the doctor who cleared her. All of that good stuff. And it looks like Saraya and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, are gonna finally have their one-on-one match at Full Gear. And we have been talking about this, and I think ito na lang talaga hinihintay natin, yung parang that one promo or that one moment where it's really made official. So where's your head at heading into Full Gear for this matchup, bro?
My head is at, I called this when she came back and the week after she came back, but y'all decided to wait for the official diagnosis. But okay na rin. Kasi legitimized na siya. I knew it was heading here the moment they started building up toward Saraya versus Britt. Really great promo, by the way. If you haven't seen it yet, posted it on socials. I split it for the TikTok. I clipped it for the TikTok. It's really good. Kinain niya ng buhay si Britt Baker here. You can feel the emotion, and I'm Team Saraya all the way here.
Is anyone even on Team Britt Baker? What do you think, Chino?
You would be surprised. The crowd was chanting for Britt.
Yeah, meron yan. Because remember, a lot of people are still calling AEW the tapunan of WWE talent, right? That argument has yet to be squashed, especially since they keep debuting like the Jeff Jarrett and all the other people who came from the WWE. So it will always be there. But at this point in time, you can't really help but root for Saraya, especially if you know the journey she took to get back in the ring and the journey that she went through as a wrestler herself. Sinabi niya yan lahat ng promo niya, nilatag niya, and it was a very impassioned pitch from her, saying that she had to fight for her career. She had to work really hard. She didn't just jump in when things were going well, and napatunayan niya yun in that promo, and it made me excited to see her back because Saraya Page is one of my favorite female wrestlers of all time. I've always rooted for her. I've always liked her style, and I'm just excited to see her back.
Yeah, on that point, Chino, sabi mo na AEW won't seem to shed yung reputation niya as yung landing spot of everyone who's left WWE for whatever reason. So, does it matter at this point kung yun yung tag niya? Because from WCW to TNA to AEW, it's like every single company who seems to be the biggest competition to WWE, they're probably gonna have that tag. Eh kasi ganun lang naman kaliit yung big time of wrestling eh.
I was going to say that the only people who really care about that are the hardcore tribalist WWE stans who still think that the existence of AEW is a direct assault to their wrestling fandom. So if you're a fan of AEW, it doesn't matter because these people are still high value commodities, if we can, borrow the metaphor from the real sports, diba? So ano sila? Talagang asset yun kung tatawagin. So these assets make that product better, and it doesn't matter kung tapunan sila. It doesn't really matter anymore to any sane, rational thinking fan kasi these people who have way more experience than the upstarts, the younger talents in AEW, nakatulong sila in helping improve the quality of the product.
Yeah, it's good when you have this Britt Baker and Saraya feud going on right now because at least that's one match on the Full Gear card that doesn't revolve around the championships. And we all know how AEW's handling of the women's division has been pretty problematic. So it's nice to see an actual story that doesn't revolve around the championships.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, definitely. Because especially since the title picture for the women's division has been very, shall we say, B-class. They're trying to promote Jamie. They're trying to promote Jamie Hayter, which is good because she's a fresh young talent, but at the same time, it still doesn't compare to Saraya making her in-ring return.
Yeah, I would even argue na the Saraya Britt feud is probably the hottest women's feud in AEW right now. Not even the championship stories.
Wala naman masyadong championship stories, so.
Tony Schiavone will remind you every week that Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter were roommates during the pandemic.
Yeah, okay. Pero, yeah, they're building up toward that. Nyla Rose versus Jade is terrible, especially after what they did last Friday on Rampage. So, yes, again, pag may effort, nakikita mo na gumaganda siya.
Yeah. Anything else on Saraya officially being clear that you guys want to mention?
No, the only question left is how much rust is there going to be and how much comfortable is she heading back to the ring. I also agree with Ina that I want Chris Statlander to dethrone Jade Cargill.
Yeah, but that's going to take a while because injured to see Chris Statlander.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a while until we see her again.
Pretty severe injury as well.
Yes. Medyo matagal yung recovery time niya. Saying what's up to our friend Matt Scott in the US from the Wrestling Wrap Up podcast. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
As we move on to our next topic, which is Austin Theory failing to cash in Money in the Bank, and he cashed in on the US Championship. So dun muna tayo mag-start. I never knew na pwede pala to because diba, the Money in the Bank has always been built as your fast pass to the World Championship. But because Roman Reigns has both World Championships, I guess Austin Theory figured, why not threaten to cash on the NXT Championship? Why not threaten to cash in on the United States Championship? And he saw Seth Rollins getting demolished as his opportunity to cash in for the US title, and he still failed at doing that. So where does Austin Theory go from here? Kawawa naman siya.
Honestly, I feel I feel like because he failed to cash in, his cash in failed rather. It gives the US title a little bit more prestige because the Money in the Bank winner chose the supposed TV title, the B title, over the main titles that people usually cash in on. So I guess that's good. But bad for Austin Theory kasi mid-card title na nga lang yun. Inupakan na si Seth Rollins nun, hindi pa niya nagawa. So, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's gonna spend a lot of time mid-carding somewhere. Siguro, pupulutan na lang siya sa main event or like some other show. Kasi parang wala na din ako nakikitang role for him moving forward. They're supposedly teasing a feud between him and Shelton Benjamin. But I don't really know who benefits from that, diba? Kasi Shelton Benjamin's a pretty grizzled veteran, so he doesn't really need to be put over. But then at the same time, Austin Theory isn't going to get put over by Shelton Benjamin because we haven't seen him on TV in a long time. So parang medyo confusing din yung career path nitong Austin Theory na to eh.
Medyo nega yung outlook ni Chino. Medyo nakakatakot if you're Austin Theory. Ikaw, Ro, what do you think? Yung outlook ni Theory?
A few things. First things first, saying hey to Tanichi, who's sending us halo sa Humu.
What's up, man?
Second thing, for those who didn't understand how the segment went down, first, Seth Rollins issued an open challenge. Second, Lashley answered that open challenge. He destroyed Seth Rollins, and you would think that was that. That was that for the open challenge. That's why Theory cashed in Money in the Bank. So Theory wasn't cashing in response to the open challenge. Because I've seen memes, and it's clear that some people don't really understand what's going on TV, on the show. So just wanted to clear that up if you're listening to this. Third, this is a deliberate burial. But the difference is, unlike Vince, I don't think this is a burial just to bury that person. You have to remember that Triple H is still the guy who signed Austin Theory all those years ago to NXT. He plucked him out of the independents from Evolve, so he knew what he was doing, and he knows what he's doing now. I think this is the low point of that hero's journey for Theory. So I think they're gonna trash him a little bit just to make him humble, rock bottom and all that. Tapos they're gonna build back up to whatever place they had him meant to be. They did that match last week about versus Seth Rollins. That was pretty good. So you don't do that match and then suddenly get buried. So I think there's a bigger plan in place here, even though I don't think Triple H's creative handling of the whole main roster has been perfect at this point. So if you're a Theory fan, abang-abang lang kayo. I think there is more to this than meets the eye. If you're not a Theory fan, okay lang din. It means that your least favorite or one of your least favorite wrestlers gets trashed in the process.
Loses yung kanyang fast pass to becoming world champion.
He loses that stench from Vince, that anak ng owner.
Yeah. I still would have wanted to see him cash in on the NXT Championship. I'm pretty sure would have made for a far more interesting storyline than what we're getting with NXT right now. Pero wala, would have showed na lang yun. Right? So
yeah. Sobrang daming moving parts actually, and we got to discuss then sina Seth and Bobby Lashley because based on the events of Crown Jewel and Raw, it looks like we're getting a double turn here where Lashley entered the weekend as a babyface and Rollins entered the weekend as a heel, but it looks like now their roles are getting reversed kasi si Lashley sobrang pikon from the loss to Brock Lesnar, and then not being able to take back the US Championship from Rollins, and then Rollins gets those organic babyface reactions, and now he actually has the underdog shine from Lashley beating him up and then having to go up against a fresh Austin Theory in the very last match of the night. So what do you think, Ro, about this double turn in 2022?
I'm not fully sure yet that it's a strict heel turn for Lashley, because for all we know, it's just one of those things that he evolves into this force of nature, like Brock. Like he just destroys people because he wants to do it. Doesn't make him a heel, but also doesn't make him a face. So may tweener thing happening, but definitely I think Seth is being primed for a face turn. As you said, he's getting all these organic cheers. I don't think it's a coincidence as well that he was matched up against Theory, who is a heel and who is a clear person for the crowds to boo in that matchup. So at least one of these things is true. Now, Seth might be turning face.
Can you buy babyface Seth this time around, Chino?
I cannot. He has spent way too long being an arrogant heel na ginagago niya lahat ng tao. He's calling them out. He's been conniving and just downright evil. So for him to be a face now will actually take some time for me to buy into that gimmick. Because I've known him as a heel this entire time. Nung na-shield siya, he was still smarmy. Kahit nung face yung shield, it was a little bit smarmy. So now, I don't know. It's going to be I like heel Lashley. That I get. Face Seth. It definitely is a Triple H machination. And it will take some time for me to get used to.
Yeah, the last run babyface Seth was when he was chasing after the Universal Championship in 2019. Then he won at WrestleMania, lost it again to Brock, then won it again. And at some point, I think when he was feuding now with The Fiend, biglang nawala yung organic support for Rollins, which is why it made it easier for creative at the time to turn him heel.
Yeah, I don't know. That Fiend thing was a whole mess, so that might be why he lost some goodwill at that time.
Yeah, and it's been 3 years. I'd like to think din na enough time has passed na nakalimutan na rin natin, hopefully, yung story arc na yun, diba, from 2019. And, this Rollins character is a bit different na rin naman. Hindi pa siya ganito ka-fresh manamit, hindi pa ganun ka-confident with the whole leading an entire orchestra, singing his theme song and all of that stuff. So it's a very different character that he has going on right now.
Yeah, yun nga diba? So, how is that gonna work? Like, douchey pa rin ba yung suit choice niya? And we're supposed to cheer for him?
Yeah, I think
diba?
It seems as though the crowd is really for him, despite these deliberate attempts to make people hate him. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's the same character. It just matters who, or the difference is that iba lang yung ka-feud niya and iba lang yung motivations niya.
Or iba yung timpla ng crowd. Kasi wala, the crowd just likes him now. Parang si Becky Lynch, diba? Even if she comes out as big-time Bex today, people love Becky, so they'll cheer her eventually.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, it is what it is. One last bit from Raw, and then we're gonna take a break. Welcome back, Mia Yim. So she came out as the equalizer for the OC in their feud against the Judgment Day para may tatapat na kay Rhea Ripley. And it's great to see Mia Yim back. Inacknowledge na she was part of WWE, but thankfully medyo dinistansya na from the whole Reckoning and Retribution gimmick. So what can you say about the way they reintroduce her, Chino?
I know Ro doesn't like this kasi hindi na natin makukuha yung Rhea Ripley intergender match dreams na pinag-usapan natin dito. I like it. I like it because it gives Mia Yim the ability to become Mia Yim and not some half-thought gimmick in some half-thought faction. Diba? We didn't get Mia Yim in the main roster, and yet for some reason may acknowledgement pa rin na nandun siya, which I like, I guess, because it's not a complete denial of retribution. Diba? Na-acknowledge pa rin natin na nandun siya, even if it was a non-factor. I like how they're giving her the ability to shine on her own and not be saddled by a gimmick that was not very fully fleshed out. So kudos to her. I don't know how well she gels with the OC kasi all three of these guys are a lot more seasoned than her, a lot older. I don't know kung kaya niyang pakisamahan yung vibe na yun. But, I mean, looks-wise, if I'm looking at it right now, mukhang okay naman, diba?
Yeah, si Fred may binanggit dito na it was a dead crowd for a great return. And Ro, what do you think about this? Kasi, di ba, when Emma came back a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how parang hindi siya nag-benefit from that tepid response from the crowd. So, when Mia Yim comes back like this in front of Wilkes-Barre and parang hindi naman sila hot for her, does that spell some negative prospects for her going forward?
No, I think Wilkes-Barre is a really terrible crowd. We'll talk about this later when we talk about the New Day and the Usos. Pero even, even some of the best things that they cheered for wasn't really loud. So talagang pangit siya. I'm glad that Mia Yim gets a job again with WWE. She really was a good get for the women's division. I just want to see how they explain why she sided with the Bullet Club. Personally, I want to see some really complicated backstory where she joined the Bullet Club because her arch nemesis Shelton Benjamin is part of Suzuki-gun. So, yun lang. Kasi the really weak part of Triple H's regime so far is the lack of explanation for a lot of the decisions he makes. So sana lang he lives up to this move.
All right. Congratulations again to Mia Yim and welcome back. Very deserved return to the WWE. We're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the New Day and the Usos. But first, a quick word from our other podcasts on Podcast Network Asia. All right, let's go back to wrestling and let's talk about the New Day and the Usos. Medyo mixing reaction dito sa chat. Some people are saying na ito na naman. Other people are saying na hindi. Fresh pa rin. And they had a very good promo segment up until Matt Riddle showed up. No disrespect to Riddle, it's just that the Usos and the New Day really had something going, and they've always had chemistry, but dating back to their 2017 feud. They had that epic series on those different pay-per-views. So now they're heading into SmackDown, and this match really matters in the bigger scheme of things. Kasi the Usos are trying to chase yung history by crushing the New Day's record of 483 days as tag team champions. And sobrang fitting, it's the New Day. Sila yung huling balakid dun sa path na yun for the Usos. So, does this make you care, Ro, about this entire thing?
Yeah, I will admit, I'm one of the people who thought that this was a tired matchup. Some of the people who say that in the comments in the chat, tama sila. It is a tired matchup. They have been running this for years, and they have acknowledged that in the promo. The only good thing is that under Triple H, they found that thing that made it fresh again. So they naghugutan sila ng feelings about their careers, about their opportunities, and I don't think that was something we could have gotten under Vince. There was a chance we could have gotten it, but they found this groove, and that's what made it special. But otherwise, it wouldn't have been. I don't know. I don't know if I'm excited for the match itself. I'm excited for the result. If we're gonna do a quick prediction here, going by wrestling logic, kasi natalo yung New Day in that 6-man tag versus the Bloodline. So my wrestling logic gut tells me that they're gonna win on Friday or tomorrow, on Saturday, and retain their record. So other than that, it's gonna be fun, but I don't think it's gonna be anything that I haven't seen already.
Ikaw, Chino, what's your fearless forecast?
I want to say New Day take it as well. I want to say that I know it's kind of gets ko yung sinasabi ng tao that it's a tired feud. We've seen this time and time again, but that promo, man, it reignited the fire in both these teams. So I like seeing it again. Ang hirap pumili for me because I like both teams equally. So I can't. But gun to my head, I'm gonna say New Day. I finally take the titles away.
Yeah, parang time na rin, diba? Time for a change. And I don't know, for a bad guy team, for a heel team like the Usos, to get this close to yung record of 483 days and then to get cut off at the knees right as they're on the cusp of it, I think that's a great way for them to get their comeuppance after all of the crap that they've done to everybody on the main roster. Diba? If you're that type of person who enjoys that type of storytelling, I think that's the justice you want from on heels like the Usos.
Isn't one of them injured pa? Like,
Biggie, yeah.
Yes. One of them is
So-
injured. I think it's
yes,
Jay.
Jay is injured, right? So
So
that might actually play into it as well, diba? Because because they need to replace Jay Uso, it might actually play into the fact na either Sammy or Solo replaces him, adds to the rift. I hope it's Sammy. I really hope it's Sammy.
What's stopping them from freebirding, diba? They
Diba?
can get Uzi and put Sammy in there or have Solo
Right.
in there.
And then it adds to the rift. It actually makes for a better storyline if the Usos lose.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, diba? Kasi the New Day have been freebirding for years, so why haven't the Usos tried freebirding it?
I don't know. Kasi twin things, day one ish, day one shit. So it's gonna be weird. It's not gonna be day one shit if it's someone else. So maybe that's why. My only gripe here is that they're dropping it back to the New Day. But they won it from the New Day. If I remember,
No, they won it from the Mysterios.
Oh, okay, right. But it's gonna be the New Day again, and I really, really wished it was another team to get the rub. So parang nagpapasahan lang sila like the Warriors and the Cavaliers. What's a good metaphor?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
So yun. I hope that someone else eventually wins it off the New Day sooner than later, because I also don't know. Medyo tired na rin yung act ng New Day at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if the New Day win it over the weekend, there's a couple of Vikings who are about to rise with Valhalla or on Valhalla, diba? So you have that waiting in the wings. Speaking of what's to come in WWE, we got to talk about the upcoming premium live event towards the end of the month, and that is Survivor Series
War Games!
So, in-announce na nila the first War Games match is the women's match. It's Damage Control plus Nikki Cross plus TBA versus the Babyface squad of Bianca Belair and Asuka and Alexa Bliss and dalawang TBA. So, let's start with the announcement muna na ito yung War Games match natin. We kind of saw this na as early as yung build-up to Clash at the Castle, diba?
Yeah, they kind of retrofit War Games for this feud. So the only reason why it's been going this long is because of War Games, and probably the only reason why they had War Games is because they had this. So it all worked out in that regard when it came to planning. I don't know who the fifth person, who the number 5 is on Team Bailey, on Team Damage Control. Team Bianca may be getting Sasha and Naomi. They also could be getting Candice and Raquel. It could be anyone, but I can't figure out who I'm going to put in the heel team.
Eto, dark horse pick. What about Dana Brooke? Kasi yung 24/7 championship, diba, Nikki Cross took it from her.
Saan? Sa Team Damage Control?
No, Team Bianca.
Pwede. I don't mind it. I don't really think then that Sasha and Naomi are coming back for this.
Mm-hmm. So. Ikaw, Chino, who do you think yung TBA?
No, I would want to see Sasha and Naomi come back for this. It might be the perfect time for them to do so because it seems like the main feud in the women's division and also one of only 2 War Games matches on the card. I'm going to make a fearless forecast here and say it might be Charlotte. Charlotte might make her comeback for the heels. Matagal na siyang nawala. So that is still a possibility out there.
Oh, to be fair, half a year na siyang wala. All right.
Yeah.
Ito, may tanong si Admin Jackie. May explanation na ba kung bakit friend ng Damage Control si Nikki? They kind of alluded to it on Raw this week. Binanggit ni Bailey na sila yung mga kinalimutan, yung mga naitsapuera, and they're finally taking control of their fate.
Yeah, can we point that out? I would like to point that out as the closest thing that we get to a backstory explanation from Triple H since these ladies appeared almost 3 months ago?
4 months SummerSlam.
Diba? So it took them this long to explain why they got together. It took them the 4th member to do that. So that goes to show you how flawed this whole thing is. But anyway, yes. They kind of spoke for her there in that segment.
I don't like how they're building up to this either. But, I mean, we're getting a War Games match. So I guess that counts for something. I kind of expected more from Triple H and company, though. Especially when it comes to building up feuds.
Okay, let's talk about Bianca now as women's champion because she's still she's still the champion and Bailey has taken her 4th loss in a row. Tama ba? 4th loss in a row or 3rd loss in a row?
It's third.
Okay, yeah. Third loss in a row. A lot of us were calling for a Bailey win. If it wasn't at Extreme Rules, it would be at Crown Jewel. So we were all surprised when Bianca still stood tall at the end of Crown Jewel. So what do you think about this?
Well, they're hitching their wagon to Bianca. Bianca is a really nice role model. She is literally the female John Cena at this point. Not in the ring, but also outside of the ring. So she is really a good...
talaga eh.
Yeah. Sorry. No, gusto ko lang sabihin na nanay din siya. She's a mom. So she knows how to...
Stepmom.
Well, nanay pa rin yun, Stan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
I mean, we gotta draw the line here. Pero
No. She doesn't have her own biological child, is what I'm saying.
Nanay pa rin siya, gets mo? So she
has
that
a
makes
responsibility. Okay, so.
Yeah, diba? She still has that appeal to mass market audiences. Diba? In that marunong siyang makisama sa bata, sa parents. It opens up that avenue for the WWE to moms, to show moms that they can, be stronger than they are, or whatever marketing jargon they can think of. Madaming pwedeng gawin with Bianca, and it no surprise that they're hitching their wagon to Bianca Belair.
Mm-hmm. On the flip side of things, Damage Control won back the Women's Tag Team Championships less than a week after Asuka and Alexa Bliss won the titles on Raw. So what do you think about this really quick switcheroo that happened within the span of a week?
Di ko rin gets. My closest explanation is that they knew Bailey was going to lose. They wanted her to lose. So they wanted a quote-unquote feel-good moment for Io and Dakota. Pero you could achieve that same thing by having them retain. So I think this is strange to me, and I think a lot of people don't understand it either. So I don't know.
Ikaw, Chino, what does that say to you about Damage Control? Na Bailey can't seem to win the big one, and then sina Io and Dakota, they would win it, then lose it, then win it again.
I mean, if anything, Io and Dakota winning it back makes more a case for Sasha and Naomi to come back. Kasi pwede naman nilang sabihin na, wait lang, titles namin yan eh. So, kami na dapat yung next. And it gets this whole kerfuffle with the women's tag team division. But as far as Bailey goes, I feel like her authority is somehow undermined here as the leader of Damage Control. So, it might lead to an implosion down the road, or it might lead to something else, and we might actually see Bailey win a title in the fifth time. Her fifth attempt.
At this point, I guess all we know for sure is that we're gonna get War Games! And that maybe ito yung chance ni Bailey to get a definitive win over Bianca, because the title doesn't appear to be on the line. Kasi nga, it's a War Games match, right? Okay, sticking with the women here, let's give a eulogy for the 24/7 championship, or let's say some words about it kasi hindi pa naman sure na wala na siya forever, but based on what Nikki Cross did backstage, she threw it in the dumpster and didn't seem to care about the championship after winning it from Dana Brooke.
Wait, let me do a really quick it's retired. According to the Superstars page on WWE.com, the 24/7 championship has an expiry date 2019 to 2022. So it is officially, as NSYNC would say, gone. Eulogy for it. It could have been so much more. I liked the idea when Vince first brought it out. I liked the idea, the concept of a 24/7 defend anywhere, win anywhere hardcore championship. Pero they just did not work hard on how they presented it, how they executed it. Like, it was always just a bunch of comedy segments where everyone was rolling up everyone else instead of, hitting moves, hitting people with weapons, stuff like that. Ba't di ganun, diba? Kasi the standard for this is the DDT 24/7 Iron Metal Heavyweight, whatever it's called, championship. The reason why that worked and the reason why they patterned it after that championship is because they really put in the legwork to make those moments viral, diba? So, sobrang sayang lang. They just really got lazy with it. And I thought that they could have turned it into this more serious championship that could have been defended in the ring more. That kind of happened a few times when Riddick Moss, aka Madcap Moss, had the title. Pero wala na sinukuhan lang nila yung championship.
Eto, Chino, sagutin natin yung question ni Glendale. Who's the best 24/7 champion not named R-Truth?
Oh, not named R-Truth. I'm gonna say Drake Maverick. He had some good moments with the title. Yung sa wedding night niya, that elevator moment, that one stands out. And I think that was him, yung naiwan sila sa elevator and they started just hashing it out. So nakakatawa yun for me. I will say na a little history lesson for you kids. Back in the Attitude Era, Steve Blackman, who was the hardcore champion at the time, also put out a 24/7 title defense. And yun, nakakatawa yun. Kasi I remember, makikita mo, pinipin siya ng mga bellboy, pinipin siya ng mga referee. People are trying to really win the title off of him. Kasi sabi ni Steve Blackman, who was then known as the deadliest weapon alive or some shit like that, na kaya niya depensahan yung title 24/7. So I think that's where they also jumped off from that point. Ang problema lang nun is they took a segment that was like siguro a good 10 minutes combined and tried to stretch it out for years or for months at a time. About years na since 2019. It worked well from the very beginning. At the start, it worked well. Pero over time, tulad ng sinabi ni Ro, nawalan sila ng gana to keep up the charade of the 24/7 title. And after a while, nakikita mo naman na ginagamit na lang nilang trope yung 24/7 just to remind people that it's still part of the title picture, di ba? It's kind of a sad way to bid the title goodbye na inetsapuera lang ni Nikki Cross yung title ng ganon. But then at the same time, I think it was time to say goodbye to it.
Well, sabi nga ni Chris Brown, di ba? Never a right time to say goodbye. But I gotta shout out Bad Bunny here, who James Andre mentions in the comments. Kasi Bad Bunny actually took the 24/7 championship to SNL.
Right.
Di ba nung nag-perform siya? So that was a big thing for the wrestling industry. Kahit na sabihin mo na, hindi, 24/7 championship lang yan. Hindi, man. Bad Bunny brought a WWE championship title to freaking SNL.
An active championship, by the way.
Yeah.
I also wanted to shout out the early days of the 24/7 championship when it was Truth and Drake Maverick. So they would really go all out sa pag-execute ng segments. They did it on social media. They shot a whole bunch of content on social media and they made it mean something. And then all that went away when Drake Maverick had to go. They stopped putting in as much effort in it as before. So sobrang sad talaga. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a lot of fun in the beginning.
Yeah, for a while, diba, they were doing stuff with Tozawa. Ito na, yung COVID era na, right as they left the Thunderdome.
Right?
Yes. Even getting the women involved, diba, sina Tamina, sina Dana Brooke, Reggie, and all that. That was a moment in time. So, rest in peace to the 24/7 championship. We hardly knew ye. All right, let's talk about Crown Jewel now. And we got to start with Logan Paul. Did that main event deliver for you, Chino?
I was actually surprised. I'm going to say it more than delivered. We all know that Logan Paul can go, but with what he did in that matchup, with all the spots that he was able to pull off, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I still don't like the guy personally. I still think he's a douchebag. But, I mean, to pull off a frog splash to the outside, di mo kailangan gawin yun. But ginawa niya to do that buckshot lariat thing that he did. He didn't kailangan gawin yun. But he did it because he really wanted to show people that he can go. And Roman Reigns actually made him look good in this matchup. So I was very pleasantly surprised by this performance.
Ikaw, Ro, does he live up to the hype?
Yeah, I knew he would. I knew this would burn the house down. Pun not intended. This was a really good showing for a really athletic wrestler and, a really good worker as well in Roman Reigns. Chino said it best. He made him look really good. And if you were doubting Logan Paul before this, you have to believe that he's a big match player right now. But I do have to, put an asterisk on his performance because it's his third match, yes, but it's his third match after what? I'm guessing months of preparation for it. I'm guessing months of writing down how it's going to go. I'm sure they planned this well in advance. So he had enough time to know everything he had to know, all the moves he had to do, all the positions he had to be in. So when you get that much prep time, that much lead time, the only option is to be this good. He's a good spectacle wrestler, but it's going to be a little too far to say if you're going to call him a good pro wrestler because he doesn't do the regular schedule of a real pro wrestler. Yun yung totoong test eh. You guys know, you fans know how not every good wrestler has a good week every week. So that's the real test for him. But right now, he's just a nice feature performer.
Yeah, speaking of feature performers, if you're going to rank all of these celebrities who stepped in the ring for a couple of matches or just one huge match, like your Johnny Knoxville's, your Bad Bunny, Stephen Amell, Logan Paul, where would you rank Logan Paul?
I would rank him below Steven, who is still tops in my book, just because of the contributions he's had in professional wrestling and actually getting the ring multiple times. So he's pretty high up for me. Logan Paul might be a close second just because of his athletic ability. And then siguro third na si Bad Bunny. So yun yung top three ko.
I would put him at number one. I'm not ashamed to put him at number one. He is
even better than McAfee?
Yeah, even better than Pat McAfee.
I forgot about McAfee.
Pat McAfee is not he's not an amateur wrestler, so he doesn't actually know what it's like the same way Logan Paul does. So mas malinis si Logan Paul. Pat McAfee is really athletic as well, but I think Logan has a different level of understanding about the business.
I think to Rose's point, yung ceiling ni Logan Paul really happens when you realize that he's only signed to a limited contract with the WWE. So that means just a handful of matches, diba? So that's why they're really trying to make him as big a deal in as short a time as possible kasi hindi siya magko-commit sa full-time schedule, which is also why he can't walk away with the title kasi that means he needs to be a little bit more active in the WWE. I mean, nagbe-benefit to both sides dito. Logan Paul's company and WWE both benefit from each other. But I don't see Logan Paul actually committing to the 300 plus days a year that it takes to be a WWE superstar. Kasi mawawalan siya ng ibang racket niya.
I also don't kasi injured siya ngayon.
Well, yes,
also, yes. Also, yes.
All right. Speaking of crown jewel, ito, Brock and Bobby. Tuloy pa rin. Probably gonna get a blow-off match at Survivor Series War Games, if not the Royal Rumble in early 2023. The match ended in controversy because hindi pa nalalet go ni Lashley yung hurt lock, and then Brock bounced off of the, use the turnbuckles to get leverage on Lashley and pin him, even though, medyo nakataas nga naman yung balikat ni Lashley during the cover. For the purposes of the story, nandito na tayo na napikon si Lashley, inupakan niya si Brock afterward. So, what do you want to see happen after this step this chapter in the story, Ro?
I actually thought it was good because for once, Brock didn't look like the total dominant beast that he usually is. Diba? So that's pretty good. Na-humble siya, if you will. Where I want to see this go, I want to see it end up with Lashley winning the whole thing. But I don't think that's going to happen because it's still Brock. Brock is going to Brock. Brock is still the bigger star. And this is also his hero's journey, his rock bottom, if you will. Although he did come away with the win, he did get his ass beat. And as Jesse Mendiola said, this setback is a setup for a comeback.
Ikaw ba, Chino? Are you invested in this comeback for Brock? Or for Lashley pala?
I am. I didn't like the finish kasi I know that spot that they were trying to do, and none of them are agile enough to pull it off. Let's just put it that way. Diba?
Yung first time ba napanood mo talaga in real time?
Yeah, I remember seeing that spot. Si Bret Hart and the Bulldog, right? So,
Austin.
gets ko yun.
Austin.
So, gets ko yun. Gets ko yung spot na ginagawa nila. It's just that, ang laki nila pareho, so hindi talaga nila kaya yun. So, it made me go, that's how it ended. But it also made sense for me because they really wanted to lengthen this feud, diba? With two big guys going at each other. That's always just gonna give hardcore WWE fans a boner, diba? At the end of the day, it's still Brock Lesnar, tama si Ro, and I feel that Brock still walks away with this. And it won't be surprising for me if this leads to a Brock Roman battle again.
Yeah, it's likely na doon naman siguro papunta. But kayo, people in the comments, let us know what you think. Who's gonna come away with a win? Kasi nga, there's bound to be a rubber match given how this one ended. And they're currently at 1-1. So Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, let us know what you think as we give our overall thoughts on the Crown Jewel Premium Live event. Let's start with you, Chino.
Apart from the main event, everything was pretty meh for me. I'll be honest. The main event was pretty. See, Rowan versus Logan Paul was pretty. Yeah, like I said, surprising. That picked up a bit, but everything was pretty, as MJF likes to put it, pretty mid. So yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Igaro.
It wasn't a card that I would have stayed up for, all the way until 3:30 a.m. I will say the only thing that was good and had to be good was the main event. Kasi syempre that was their big money match. And because Roman is such an MVP and Logan is such a natural, they delivered. So yun yung saving grace niya. But otherwise, this should, I would have preferred to see this after the fact.
Yeah, ako,
right.
Yun nga, buti na sinabi mo yun, Ro, because I didn't stay up for this.
Yeah.
I actually watched it the day after. So, considering that fact, buti na lang, hindi ako nagpuyat.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some AEW and some news outside the ring featuring one Braun Strowman and his very loud Twitter feed. All right. But first, we got to hear from our other podcasts on Podcast Network Asia. All right, let's talk about AEW this time. And eto, MJF at odds pa rin with the firm. And then he's also got this thing going on with Mox heading into full gear. So, eto na ba? Is this really a full-on babyface turn for MJF? Ikaw, Ro, you were the one who brought this up.
Wait, before I answer that, I wanted to address this comment by Carlo Lozada. Sana i-guess niyo po si Lolo Delfin. I actually do want that. He is a part of the old Pinoy wrestling back in the 90s. So if we can do that, G natin yan. Anyway, so MJF is slowly teasing the face turn in his promo from earlier today on that podcast. He trashed Mox, but he also respected him. So that's something you don't really expect. Again, people have brought up the fact that this might be a red herring. Kasi for all we know, the swerve could be that he was acting this whole charade with the firm. So,
it's MJF, diba?
Yeah. If it's a red herring, it's a really good red herring because they're really committing to the bit. But at this point as well, I know Chino doesn't like the idea of a babyface MJF, but he like Seth Rollins, he has this organic groundswell of support, and I do want to see it. It could be, the same character just with a different motivation, slightly different execution. So, try natin yan. Kasi I think he deserves his flowers, man. I think he deserves to be cheered.
Yeah, but if you have a babyface MJF, sino na yung pinaka-big bad ng AEW? Because if and when the Elite come back, I'm sure babyface din sila because people miss the Elite. Plus, there's the real life stuff that went down, diba, nung brawl out. So, ikaw, Chino, who's the big bad of AEW if MJF really is gonna be a babyface?
Si Tony Khan.
Jeff Jarrett.
Si Jeff. Di ba, ang weird kasi. I don't know if they've thought this through properly. Making MJF a face removes a legitimate threat to anybody in the title picture. Parang mas naniniwala pa akong swerve to because it actually means better for them in the long run, diba? Mas mas magiging polarizing si MJF by doing that. Whereas if they truly make him a face, I don't know how sustainable that is for a character that has been conniving and deceitful and just downright arrogant his entire wrestling career. So parang,
si Randy Orton din naman
well, that's true. But Randy Orton has had more time to develop yung heelness niya or faceness niya because he's just been in the ring longer, diba? Si MJF, we've known him as a heel this entire time. Even when he was Cody's best friend, binubu pa rin siya ng mga tao nun, diba? Kasi kupal pa rin siya nun eh. Diba? I don't know if they can actually take out his kupalness, for lack of a better term, and actually make him a legitimate babyface. That's where my doubt comes from.
I think what he did in that snippet that they showed earlier today was like the best blueprint for how they could pull this off, diba? So, kupal pa rin, pero may begrudging face things. Yeah, respect things that he says, goodwill things that he says, stopping his friends from beating up the good guys kind of thing. So I think there's a foundation there that I think would be good for them to at least try and explore. Kasi yun nga, people want a reason to cheer MJF other than the fact that he's a really good talker. So I say, why not give it to them? I think they do need to, rid the company of the stench of its past controversy. So might as well, diba?
To be fair, it's not like AEW hasn't done this before. They did it with Eddie Kingston, diba? When he eventually turned face nung feud nila ni Mox, yung lumabas siya to save Mox from the barbed wire explosion, ek. So, may blueprint din naman sila kahit papaano aside from what they did during today's promo. So, they have that. Speaking of alignments changing, ito na, Samoa Joe. Turn on Wardlow. Wardlow is done. I could not understand kung bakit nila to ginawa kanina. Kasi clear naman na Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs are going at each other for the TNT Championship. Ano yun, na sinabi ni Wardlow na... sinabi ni Wardlow na parang all the championships, I'm gonna go after them na insecure si Joe. Is that really the story here?
That might be where the story is going. Kasi I don't see any other way. Kasi it's weird. This entire story involving the TNT and the TV championships are already a mess. They went through that whole thing with the embassy, which nobody really cared about. And then they tried to segue into Powerhouse Hobbs. And then while that's happening, while they're teasing that, they then segue to Samoa Joe turning on Wardlow. So clearly this is going to be like the main match for Full Gear because it's the big money match, the big name match. But the way they went about it was so convoluted and messy na I just wish they didn't team up in the first place kung ganito rin pala.
What if Chino, parang yung WrestleMania WrestleMania 17, the two mid-card championships are up for grabs in a triple threat match. Tapos the first fall, you get one title. The second fall, you get another title.
For me, I wouldn't put it beyond Tony Khan to do that since he's such a fanboy. Convoluted na Guluhin na natin lalo, diba? That would actually be, for me, the ideal end. Kasi ang gulo-gulo na niya, sagad mo na, diba? So, guguluhin mo lang. You're right there, Don't half-ass it, TK. Honestly, yes, tama si Ro. Parang ang confusing nung build-up nito Kasi it was unnecessary for Joe to turn on Wardlow so randomly when there was already an imminent feud. If anything, maybe they did it so Joe actually has something to do come Full Gear. I don't know if that's enough of an excuse, pero it doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah. Eto, sabi ni Aaron, winner take all na. Winner becomes the undisputed Universal Television Champion.
Yeah, I would actually like that kasi I don't like wala na ang brand split between AEW and ROH, and then you still have the whole set of Ring of Honor championships. Yeah. So might as well merge where you can.
All right. So yeah, let's go to the stuff from outside the ring na dapat wala naman talaga pero meron So pag-usapan natin. Let's start with Braun Strowman. And coming out of Crown Jewel, nag-tweet siya, tinag niya si Omos, and he was mocking yung 5-star rating system ni Dave Meltzer. And then Braun also took a shot at High Flyers. So right after that, people like Mustafa Ali, whose tweet is seen in that screenshot, people like Ricochet, Dax Harwood, Chris Jericho, all had something to say. Braun even took a shot at people who worked another shift, yung mga nagbabag ng groceries. And it's not the first time that Braun Strowman has said something on social media about wrestlers who have to, pull another shift or do another job aside from being a wrestler. So I don't know. It's really disappointing to see comments like this. Kasi come on, diba? Parang we talked about this now with AEW. Like, why are we starting drama here?
Yeah, it goes to show that the plague of stupidity on social media is not just an AEW thing. It really is a business thing, and at this point, sana Triple H at least seems like the better admin here. So if I were him, I would institute some sort of social media policy and at least try to sanction Braun for saying that's dumb stuff. Because not only is he taking shots at other wrestlers, he's literally alienating an entire preference, an entire stylistic preference of your crowd, of your audience. Diba? So you're not even a heel. So why would you do that? So we're not going to go into the many reasons why this is a stupid move. Just gawa na lang ng paraan.
Yeah, so the tweet has since been deleted. And after people like Jericho, people like Mustafa Ali, they responded nga, diba, to the tweet. Sinabi rin ni Braun na, oy, kayo naman, joke lang yun, learn how to take a joke. And he was addressing the internet wrestling community about it. So, ikaw, Chino, as someone who is part of the IWC, what do you think about yung parang pagkabig ni Braun nung binara na siya ni na Jericho, etc.?
Not only as somebody who is part of the IWC, but also somebody who was canceled on TikTok. Feeling ko, dapat hindi siya umatras hindi dapat, kung ako si Braun Strowman, huwag ka na umatras pa, panindigan mo na yan. Diba? Like, sabi ni Taylor Swift, kupal ka, diba? Dapat self-aware tayo sa pagkakupal natin. And I honestly feel like that's what he should have done here. Kasi hindi naman din siya believable face Diba? I honestly, do you buy him as a face? I don't. So, kung ganyan lang din, dapat ginawa na lang nila to as a means for him to build a feud with whoever flippy flopper, quote unquote, that he wants to go up against. Diba? Everybody versus Braun Strowman? Why not? I'd watch that.
Yeah, Braun gets the best responses from like the Midwest and the Southern crowds, just based on limited sample size since he came back.
Right.
No, I would just say that if that was the end game, then there was a much better way to finesse that. Like, don't tag the entire, population of the wrestling industry that does acrobatic moves. Diba? Just tag one person, like Ricochet or Mustafa Ali. Diba? So make it make sense.
Or cut a promo on Raw like JBL.
Yeah, make it make sense. This did not make sense. So
gusto ko lang din sabihin na tinag yung Kroger's, which is a legitimate grocery chain. Like, what is this end game?
Grocery.
What is this end game here? Magbigyan siya ng sponsorship? That's really dumb. So, dumb social media-wise.
Medyo weird na nangyari to this week. Sana hindi na siya part ng agenda. Pero part na siya ng agenda kasi wala, pinag-usapan na ng buong mundo All right, last couple of things. John Cena in the news because may mga bali-balita na Vince McMahon told John Cena na help out WWE if and when you can. And since WrestleMania 39 will be in Hollywood, maybe it would be easier for Cena to fit WrestleMania in his schedule. So if John Cena makes a comeback at WrestleMania 39, sino dapat yung kalaban niya? Let's start with Ro.
Fucking Gunther. Let's do that. Let's have him remember the feeling of a stiff match. Gunther said he wanted a match with John Cena, so let's do that. I like that matchup. So game ako dyan. Yun yung pick ko.
Ikaw, Chino.
As much as I would love to see that as well, I don't think they're making Cena work with Gunther right away. It might have to be one of the hotter young guys. Fearless forecast. Maybe Austin Theory might be the person. Kasi siya yung binibuild na bagong prototype ko, to pardon the pun, for Vince McMahon's the ideal superstar, shall we say. So I can see a way how they can do that and include Cena as well. It might be Austin Theory for me.
Eto suntok sa buwan. For me, I'd like to see John Cena versus Kevin Owens again, but this time at WrestleMania.
Okay. It's not a bad matchup for sure. Diba?
Yeah. They had some pretty fire battles then on the mic and in the ring in 2015.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would throw out there in the universe. Finally, we're going to finish things up with an update on Sasha Banks. If you've been following her on Instagram, meron siyang story this week, Instagram story where she said na she's been building up to something over the last half year and sobrang excited na siya for that date to come. And people have been saying na, it's been half a year since she and Naomi left WWE because of the Women's Tag Team Championship issue. Baka ito na ba yun? Ito na ba yung return of the comeback for Sasha and Naomi that people are waiting for? So what do you think this is that she's been teasing? If you could put money on that, Ro.
I don't know. I've gone out of the business of predicting when Sasha and Naomi will come back. So ayoko na sana hulaan. She has been training, outside the ring in other schools. So maybe that's that. Maybe it really is finally happening. Or maybe she has another TV series role. Maybe she's doing, baka Mandalorian season 3 na to, for all we know.
Yeah, medyo busy si ate. Ang dami yung ginagawa from attending yung mga Fashion Week events to the Wakanda Forever premiere, her cannabis business. So, ikaw, Chino, which one do you think is it all about?
Feeling ko siya yung bagong Black Panther. I've seen the movie. Relax. Calm down, dudes. I know who the Black Panther is. I don't know. I'm with Ro here. I don't know. I can't really say. I want her to come back. That's what I want to happen. I want her to be in a WWE ring again. Feeling ko, hindi naman yun imposible. This current administration is a lot more open than the previous one. So feeling ko they can crack a deal here at a certain point. However, if hindi yon, then I don't know. It's probably like a movie. Yeah, movie, maybe a new strain. I don't know. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, yung mga WWE talent right now, they're really expanding their portfolios from Liv appearing on Chucky to Becky Lynch appearing on Young Rock, which we'll talk about so audio only. It can really be one of so many ways. So wait and see na naman tayo as usual. We have the entire month of November to speculate on what Sasha Banks' next move is. Hopefully, I think I can speak for all of us when we say na it would be great to see her and Naomi back in a WWE ring sooner than later. Stick around for those who are catching this episode on Spotify or your favorite podcatcher kasi may audio-only version tayo. We're going to talk about the SmackDown World Cup announcement, Zoe Stark turning heel, Becky Lynch playing Cyndi Lauper on Young Rock, MJF being part of the Iron Claw Von Erich's movie, and Chris Jericho appearing on The Masked Singer. All of that is part of your special audio-only episode. In the meantime, though, you know the drill. It's time for our picks of the week. Reminder lang ulit, tig-isa lang tayong lahat. I'm going to start with mine, and it's the Asuka Io Sky promo exchange from Monday Night Raw. Lalo na nung nilagyan na ng subtitles nung Good Samaritan on YouTube. The best. They are such a gift to professional wrestling, and I'm so happy to be alive at a time like this.
Fun fact, ganun din yung arguments ng mga kaaway ko sa TikTok. Ganun na ganun. Exactly, on point. Same thing. Ako na. Sige, go.
No, I just wanted to talk about that real quick kasi we didn't get to touch on it earlier. It's really good because, the problems with non-English speakers in Western wrestling, not just WWE, they have a hard time getting through because they can't really communicate as much emotion when you're trying to, memorize words in English or find the right words in English. But them being allowed to exchange in their native language was so good because you didn't need to understand because they portray their emotion in a way that everyone can immediately grasp. So that's really good. And swerte sila kasi they found, a fellow Japanese to play off.
Who understood and put subs. Tsaka, hindi lang yun. They also used basic Japanese words that people generally knew, like baka, yung sugoi, if you know, you know. So, there are certain words that parang, I kind of recognize the context and whatever. But you're right. Good timing din siguro na on opposite sides, meron parehong Japanese. So, they're able to play off of that with each other.
Yeah.
Maganda yung sinabi ni Ro kasi it allows for more people to speak in their native tongue. But at the same time, mas nagustuhan ko na may kabatuan si Asuka and Io Sky Because when Asuka does it, and I don't know if you've noticed this, a lot of the times when she shouts in Japanese, the opposite person just stares at her. And I would have that same reaction. Kasi hindi ko naiintindihan yung kausap ko. The emotion is there, but the context evades me kasi nga, I don't speak that other person's language. A lot of the reason why I can't get into K-pop. Not a shot at K-pop people, just my own personal take. So ako, nagustuhan ko na the yelling is complemented. The translation adds to it, sure, but the having another person speaking in that tongue actually gives it more context for me.
All right, sige, ikaw, Chino, what's your pick of the week?
My pick for the week, pareho kami ni Roman J ng pick. It's Rey Mysterio versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. You keep forgetting that Rey Mysterio is 40, 41?
47.
47 years old. And he's going up against a guy who is more than 10 years younger than him. Tapos hinahampas siya, diba? And binabato siya like he was in his 20s. My God, that was better than expected. So that would be my pick.
All right, my pick of the week is from Rampage, Orange Cassidy versus Katsuyori Shibata. Really good. Should have been the main event, but Tony Khan got a Tony Khan. Also worth noting, as Aaron says in the chat, his pick, Mike Tyson on commentary. That was so good because he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was saying. Akala mo rando lang siya na, okay, I'm just doing this for the paycheck and I'm gonna makikiepa lang ako like Jim Ross. But he was better than Jim Ross. So when you are better than the most legendary voice of wrestling commentary, that's saying something. So
yeah, he was a credible analyst in that setup. So pag nagulat din ako na alam niya yung pangalan ng mga
yeah. He was super invested and I was not expecting that from him.
Yeah.
That was honorable mention because I get a second pick because I'm a host. Danielson versus Guevara 2 from earlier today. Really good stuff.
All right, let's get to your picks of the week from the comment section. See, Fred also picks Asuka Io. Janelle picks the last woman standing match from Crown Jewel. Admin Angelo picks Gunther Ray. Aaron picks Iron Mike. Glendale picks Shibata versus Orange Cassidy. Sino pa ba? Si Jeb also picks Asuka Io. Albert Keane picks the Samoa Joe heel turn. Ano pa ba? I think that's it. For the picks of the week dito sa comment section natin.
Si Tanichi may pick. His pick of the week is Michael Cole, acknowledging both Finn Balor and AJ Styles as the leaders of the Bullet Club, which he has already mentioned before under Vince. So it's not a new thing, but it's always welcome when they acknowledge the other companies.
Yeah. Michael Cole has been referencing outside WWE stuff way more since Triple H became the chief content officer. But yes, nung una pa lang lumabas na Gallows and Anderson in 2016, na mention yung Bullet Club. So yeah. All right.
Okay. So for my end, the SmackDown podcast welcomes wala si Batas. Tapos na yung year na yun. It was fun while it lasted. But hey, I welcome a stand-up comedian, international stand-up comedian, Steve-O Jocelyn. He is an American comedian that for some reason became a Romanian celebrity. Find out how on this week's episode. Also, I am doing a very special Zoom show for Laugh Factory Los Angeles, Hollywood, LA, California, USA. It's a 3-minute set where I stand the opportunity to actually fly out to LA and perform there in person. So sana supportahan nyo, gising kayong maaga, do it while you're preparing for work or checking in for work. It's at 10 a.m. on Thursday, November 17th. Thursday, November 17th, 10 a.m. The link will be posted on my social media pages at Chino Supersize for everything, or on my Linktree, linktr.ee/Chino Supersize.
All right. Before that, let's acknowledge Ina's pick of the week, Shota Umina's return to NJPW. Nice. So again, my plugs rather are support local wrestling. Manila Wrestling Federation is having a taping of Action Novela this weekend. I will not be there though, but you can be there if you also buy a ticket to Noche Buena at tickettobean.net. Maraming options there for seating. So if you buy a ticket there, you get free access to the taping on Sunday. Also, if you want to as well, you can subscribe to MWF's Gang page at ManilaWrestling.com. That's $10 or around 600 na if you pay via GCash. So that's an option as well. You get to watch old episodes of Action Novela TV and the upcoming episodes that we will be taping this weekend. Also, part of that as well is World Underground Wrestling Philippines show Invasion. It's only 250 pesos, but it was a lot of fun for me. Always like it when international wrestlers come around. So, worth the money at 250 that if you want to support local wrestling. Yun, and follow us on TikTok at Wrestling2XPod. You see all the content on social media, but syempre, TikTok is where you find it first.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.